Hello and welcome my side of the bag. I'm Drew Hinesley at my home in Atlanta, and at his home in LA, he is Scotty Worldwide.
Drew, welcome to our favorite week of the year.
Boy, tradition unlike any other at this place. I think you've got a shirt on.
Yeah,
I'm
I got
talking
a
about
little
some
shirt on here.
unsung heroes, man. Those are the men who taught many of us the game of golf. I mean, I learned from a lot of those
Yep.
guys, and some of those guys taught their cousins and nephews and sons at Augusta. Some of those guys are still walking those fairways, and I've had a chance to meet a lot of them.
Oh yeah.
So that's a huge
Oh yeah.
part of the
Oh yeah.
tradition there, and a huge part of Georgia golf, really,
Yeah.
across the state. I mean, those
Yeah.
those guys when
You
the
know, it's
when the club closes in May and doesn't reopen until October, a lot of those Augusta caddies would come to the Atlanta area and populate the caddy shacks all over town. So again,
Mhm.
anybody that's ever carried a bag or anybody that's ever played with a caddy in Atlanta, there's a good chance you've run across more than one Augusta National caddy and probably had a lot of wisdom dispensed when you were in their presence.
absolutely, and shout out to one of our good buddies, Jack, who just won on LPGA out in Vegas with Lauren Coughlin. He's a big Augusta boy, so
Yeah.
Augusta's already taken home some hardware, and you guys overrepresent when it comes to golf in the state of Georgia. So I know how much this means to the people of that state this week, and what this place means. So just a really cool week, and it's really like nothing else. And you know, you download the Masters app and you're already excited because you just know it's going to be a fun week. And it is the best app in the world. I don't care what anyone says.
Well, and I've poked a little fun in the past at the PGA of America because they get to follow Augusta as far as men's majors are concerned, and it's just no comparison. The Masters app with their collaboration with IBM, they just have a one of a kind experience for all the patrons and all the fans worldwide. It is really just there's no better app for watching athletics, period, much less golf.
Yeah.
The PGA Tour has tried to implement some of that technology slowly, and it's even trickling down to the Corn Ferry where I'm working at the moment. But again, Augusta National still the standard in everything they do. And we'll talk a little bit more about some of the new additions to Augusta National as we go through this show. But we want to thank our sponsors, Birdie Brands, Uncle Keith's Red Sauce. Thank you to everybody at the Back Nine Brief in Europe that is tuning in and watching this week. Glad I can give you some inside info, and Scotty and I can kind of give you the picks and some ideas of who to look for, who to watch this week at the Masters. And one of those features of the Masters app is your fantasy team that you were able to pick, and we will conclude our show with our picks, but we will spend most of the time talking about the guys who we like and why we like them. So I'll start with you, Scotty. What's your first impression? You've been even on the West Coast. You've been tuning in early in your day to some press conferences out of the press building on the north side of the driving range at Augusta National.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's been cool. It's been cool to see some of the guys come in the press room and talk on live from. It's on right now. A guy that Patrick Reed, who left Live, former champ, talking about some of his prep and how he's gone all over the world to play, and how he feels comfortable coming back here. I think he's going to try to play the PGA Tour when his I guess suspension is up late in the year this year, and then have kind of more full time status going into 27 on the PGA Tour. Obviously, for golf fans, know how well he's done the beginning of the year, flying around and playing different tours and different places in the world. So it's fun to hear him talk, and then it was cool to hear newcomer Chris Gotterup talk about how he ran into Fucci down in South Florida, and he said, "We're playing a practice round with you." And Fucci said, "Okay." And Justin said, "Okay." So he played the front nine with Justin Rose today and talked
Hmm.
about, who could give you better experience that's on and playing right now other than Justin Rose. So, he talked about, he took notes and watched, Justin chip and talked about places you don't want to be. And that's kind of the cool thing too, is like, and you've been at the golf course. So I'll let you handle this more, but it feels like Augusta is one of the places where course knowledge and knowing kind of where to miss and where not to chip from to certain pins is so important. And you can't really get that on a fun scouting trip. Someone kind of has to go throw balls to a place and kind of let you feel that, let you experience that. Cam Smith talked about how it's already pretty firm and he's expecting it to only get firmer as the week goes on. You saw that a little bit already last week with the final round of the women's Augusta Amateur, and so it just seems like we're primed for a really good tournament, and some guys out there early doing a lot of prep and prepping for a pretty firm Masters. There's no rain in the forecast all week, so super excited about that.
Yeah, it's I got home after a stretch on the road and my grass was pretty high. It's been raining a lot in March, but the forecast has cleared. We had some rain on Easter Sunday, and after that, the skies turned blue, and it's going to be one of those years where it's going to be not just clear skies and no rain, but it's a little bit cooler. I think it'll actually only be a high of 68 degrees on Wednesday when they're playing the par three. So you might
Cool.
see guys in long sleeves, but by Sunday, it's predicted to be a high of 20 degrees north of that 86. And out in the
Wow.
Augusta sun, it could feel more like 90. So it's going to be one of those, the wind's going to blow. It's going to be really dry. Like I've only been home for 36 hours or so, and I'm already getting a little dryness on my knuckles. There's just no humidity right now, which allows the agronomy staff and the membership at Augusta National to get that course dialed by Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, exactly how they want it. There won't be any interruption from Mother Nature. They'll be able to keep the fairways and the landing zones rather soft and wet, and they, of course, they grow and mow the grass against the grain there, so you don't get quite as much roll in these firm conditions. And then you'll see a huge contrast going from the greens and the green surrounds to the green. It'll be a pretty light green, maybe even bordering on yellow by the weekend, which means it'll be firm, fast, underfoot. And again, you're chipping into the grain in the grass. So it encourages you just to give it a little more oomph. But boy, you don't want any oomph when it's landed on these New York City sidewalks they call greens at Augusta National. We do have a resurfacing of number 11. We have a
Okay.
resurfacing of number 14 and a little bit of an expansion to the front right corner of 14. So there could be a new hole location in the front right that we haven't seen. So here's the 14th green last year. And you can see the 4 days hole locations. Sunday, of course, in this middle tier, bit of a bowl here. This has been expanded just a little more and flattened from that, 8 to 10 degrees that we know on the front of 14 green. And so you could see something over here. And the thing about this, that it's going to take guys like Jack, like Benji Thompson, some of the local guys that also work professionally. And I will tell you that I will consult with one team for the week this week, and I will make them aware actually tonight when I talk to them and tell them, hey, tomorrow and Wednesday, I want you to go practice to this specific spot, and I want you to look for this specific thing. 14, the slope, just coming off the front, you feel like it's got to go back to the fairway. But Rays Creek
Okay.
is back right of 14. That's where Amen Corner is. The lay of the land, even on a newly surfaced green, still wants to take you down to the bottom side of the property. So I'm going to send this team over to front right on 14, and I want them to hit 50 putts from every side of the hole. Just do a putting drill around that green and just figure out where we call it the zero break line. Find out where it's straight below the hole and then work off of that. Work your dial off of that for that little section of green. It'll be in a 6 to 8 foot radius. It should all be consistent, but you need to know where your straight uphill putt is. And it's probably back right of the flag if you're looking at it from the fairway, which is a little counterintuitive to how golf courses typically work. And being
Yep.
a new location, nobody's seen it before. Nobody has notes. There is no Justin Rose info on that whole location. Justin's got, I've seen one of his yardage books, and Justin's been kind enough to actually tutor me at a different golf course on the PJ Tour, Muirfield Village. And he is a fantastic guy to take a new team around a course because he's so analytical and he's so smart and he's been so successful that he's an easy guy to trust and he conveys the information clearly and concisely. And but he doesn't have any information for that front right on 14. So he and Fooch, if they're not out there right now, they will be soon working on that and working. Okay, where do we miss? And I have little, shorthand in my yardage books I use everywhere. And Augusta's one of the places you kind of come up with it. You have A, okay, so you write the letter A, and then you have I'll be okay here. And there's an A and a B to every hole location. And then if you don't write anything anywhere else, it's just understood that we shouldn't try to go to these places. So if you're on 14 and it's front right, I'm going to put A-OK as long. Long of the green is actually going to be okay because it's going to actually work back uphill if you're chipping to that front right corner. And you'll be okay if you have to put down one of the tiers and just feed it down. Anything else is probably needed to be avoided to that new front right
Yeah.
at 14.
This front, if you miss short, it's probably coming off, right?
It's coming off, and I actually played the course last May, and it was front right, and it was
Okay.
is not the same one they're going to see, but it was in that section of the green, and I'm telling you, it's just so intimidating, either trying to putt it or chip it, because the brow of the hill is about eye level where you're standing, and it's just nothing but straight back at you, and if you hit an ounce too hard, it can go over the back. If you hit an ounce too soft, it could go behind you where you're playing from at the moment. And it's a very scary shot, even on a random Tuesday in May when nobody's out there. Imagine playing with the world watching. And it's, for guys that have played a handful of times, a John Rahm, a Bryson DeChambeau, they've never had to hit that chip shot front right of 14. I don't care how many times you've been there. That's what's cool about Augusta is even the veterans are going to be thrown something that can make them uncomfortable out there, much less just the stage they're on. So there's always things. And again, the resurfacing of 11, it's just firm and fast. I would say 3 to 4 greens a year are resurfaced out there. So in the course of 4 or 5 years, it's basically all new turf throughout the course. And it's just kind of a rotating system of how they do it. I know a couple of years ago, number 2 was resurfaced along with number 8. So those are only 24, 30 months old, those putting surfaces. So everything's firm. And on a week like this, I know Cam Smith and Adam Scott were out last week playing. And it was kind of cool, hearing Adam Scott talk about watching Cam Smith chip around Augusta in firm conditions because Cam Smith is one of the best short games on the planet. And a guy like Adam, who's a former champ, has played there now 25 times. He's learning stuff from Cam, and that's just the neat thing and the nature of the Masters. It's timeless, but everybody's learning from each other as much as they can. Your cheat sheet you never stop writing things on your little cheat sheet that is your yardage
Totally,
book.
totally. That is one of the cool things. We've heard past champions like Tiger and Spieth talk about how it's the place where they putt from memory the most, right? Where they know it, they've ingrained, they've hit that putt so many times where they might get on there, they might aim point it, and they might feel a slope, but in their head and watching so many practice rounds, and they know how to putt it, right? So
Well,
so
and that's the thing that
it's
makes
putting
it tough to
against
caddy
you.
there
Yes.
is you go into the panic room over to the right of the pro and you go, we never discussed where Rays Creek is. Oh, we never talked about this. Oh, does he see that middle portion working against what we there's so many things to factor into every shot. And you don't want paralysis by analysis. You don't want to say too much. And you certainly don't want to highlight the negatives that you hope your pro is avoiding. But golly, you want to make sure you check every box before you hit a shot there. And there are so many things to consider. And I tell people all the time, I've never walked off that golf course going, man, I can't wait to be back out here. Like you just want a good night's sleep before you do anything else considered work at that place. It takes everything out of you every day you're out there.
As it should, right? Like that's what's cool about
Yeah,
it. And
it's so
I
cool.
think probably no place in golf rewards good play if you look at who's won more than Augusta National, right? Like everybody that's won there's a worthy champion and played and deserved it, right? You can't fluke your way into a green jacket.
No, you can't. And everything is exposed there. And that's what, there's some guys that are favorites on the board that have some holes in their game or not strong in certain areas that I think, given the conditions this week, firm and fast, it only puts a thicker magnifying glass on those
Yeah.
areas. And they're going to devote some attention to those areas, whether it's driving the golf ball, whether it's shot shape, whether it's short game or putting. You're going to devote the time. You're not going to not put the work in, but still there's doubt, there's second guessing, and there's just the anxiety of trying to perform dancing on the edge of a razor blade. That's what I call what playing at Augusta National is. You are dancing on the edge of a razor blade, trying not to cut your feet. It's so hard, just so hard, and the margins from 250 yards are inches between success and complete calamity. And
Yeah.
everybody knows it and everybody's seen it. And you see groups in front of you, or you're on 15 tee and there's a massive backup. And you're
Yeah.
like, man, why are we waiting so long? And you look in your book and you realize it's front right pin. And Sergio's just taken 13 shots, two groups in front of you. And that's why the group in the fairway can't play. And that's why you're being held up. And
Yeah.
you go, okay, I'm fine waiting. And I'm certainly fine having my player not watch what Sergio just did because it puts so many thoughts in your head. And it's just like, okay, bad juju, get out of here. And but that's part of competing in the Masters is you see successful guys, but you also see some guys having some train wrecks. And you're like, okay, make a note. We don't ever want to hit to that place ever again.
Yeah. One of the things, let's go back to the press room. And Patrick Reed talked about it's the place where he has the most 150 to 200-yard shots into greens, and how he was dialing like middle irons so important this week because it's and I thought that was interesting because I assume there's probably a lot more wedges on the day to day regular tour, and there's just probably not a lot of wedges out here. I mean, other than maybe seven, right? Depending on how you play three, but it's probably just not a whole lot of wedges into par fours, fives out here.
Well, and weather obviously is a huge story at Augusta. And this week, I think Thursday, Friday, coming from the east, which is basically a crosswind on just about all the holes. There may be a shot or two where it's helping or hurting directly in, but an eastern breeze is a difficult breeze. The hardest breeze I think is northwest because 15 straight back in, 13 straight back in, 8 in off the left. So all the scoreable holes, that's the hardest wind to play there. But east is not simple either because every hole it's left, right, right, left, which
Mm-hmm.
makes that golf course very hard and makes it play long too.
Sure.
And an east breeze is going to kind of allow the cutters on number one to kind of hit it. The wind will hold it, but it'll also knock it out of the air. So you're going to see some fairly long hitters hitting 6 iron, 5 iron into one, and then you're hitting, a huge club into four. Even when they put the pin, maybe back right and they move the tee up to 175, it's going to be a very difficult 9 iron or 8 iron to get into that quadrant. And then the rest of the time you're back at 235. And that's really one of those you actually don't mind a northwest wind on four because you're hitting into the breeze and you're hitting a little bit downhill. So the wind kind of helps you bring it down nice and soft.
Yeah.
The eastern breeze, you're downwind on four. So that's a very difficult ask from 240. You're hitting 240. You got the wind possibly because the trees are up behind you there, and there's no doubt where the wind's coming from because you see everything blowing down. But you also know that 4 or 5 iron is going to get knocked out of apex, so it's going to come down quicker, maybe not fly as far, hit the false front left. So there's just all these things to consider. Every shot, no matter the wind direction,
Yeah.
something about it is just mind-numbingly hard, and it's just again takes everything you got takes all your skill as a player. You're asked so many questions as a caddy about strategy, about ball flight, about the way to hit a shot, the way to approach a hole. And it's one of those normally on tour, this Monday through Wednesday are our longest days because we're working through things, we're talking to coaches, we're talking to swing instructors, we're talking to mental coaches, trying to get our mind right. And then come Thursday, the game starts. And for us, because we've grinded so hard Monday through Wednesday, and the schedule is a little bit more in stone because of our tee times, we kind of get into that flow and boom, boom, boom. Before you know it, it's Sunday and we're moving on to the next town and we go back to work on Monday. This place, you are grinding so hard Monday through Wednesday, and it only gets harder starting Thursday morning. It is just such an exhausting week. I actually don't like having a signature event on the PGA Tour, Harbor Town, following it, even though it's Harbor Town and it's Hilton Head and everybody feels laid back. You're so out of gas that I would, if it wasn't a signature event, I would never let my guy play the week after the Masters, just simply out of concern for their health and well-being. I mean, you try to eat as much as you can at Augusta because you're burning so many calories physically and mentally. Everybody walks out of there lighter than they walk in. And Rory's talked about this. He tries to get to major championships 6 or 7 pounds overweight because he wants to kind of dial it back to where he likes to be leaving the championship. He doesn't want to be in a caloric deficit by the time he leaves. And that's really an issue for these athletes. And that's why you see them eating all the time at a place like Augusta because you need it physically, but you also need it mentally. And this week we'll test them. The wind's going to blow a little bit early. And as I said, the temperature's only going to go up as the week goes on. And that's a challenge. Amateurs love it when it's hot because their balls go further and they just love seeing the ball fly a long way. But if on Thursday a 7 iron went 172 and suddenly it's going 183 on Sunday, you better be aware of that. And you better be, and again, these are the best in the world, but there is some doubt in those first handful of holes. Okay, it's 10 degrees warmer than it was 2 days ago. That 7 iron should get to that 185 number. I don't think the 8 iron's enough, but it's certainly not a six that we would have hit on Thursday. And so you kind of have those conversations: first fairway, third fairway, fourth tee box, fifth fairway. And again, then you get to the par 3 6, and hopefully you've got it figured out by then. Either you've made a mistake and you learned the hard way, or you've made your adjustment on the range with all your data that your TrackMan provides, and you're like, okay, this is exactly what we're seeing on the range. We're safe. We can now go get it on those holes 7, 8, 9.
Is there another place, maybe outside the Open Championship, that's harder to caddy for caddies in this championship?
I remember I caddied in 2016,
Yeah.
and I had a veteran caddy who I have a ton of respect for, and he pulled me aside because my guy got to Butler Cabin that night, and he said, "I'll tell you what, that's one of the most impressive performances I've ever seen out of a rookie caddy, because you just caddied in a Masters, a US Open, and an Open Championship. It was US Open firmness around greens. It was windy like an Open from start to finish. The wind never laid down. And it was the Masters. And it means everything to all of us. And so, yeah, it can be a huge challenge. I actually think when the weather turns and it gets bad and you get a little bit of rain, it actually becomes a much easier place to caddy,
It's soft.
because softer your landing zones, the ball is going to stay relatively close to that. A week like this, and this is one of those weeks you'll hear guys complaining, I hit a good shot and I got a real bad result, because you'll just get the wrong side of a ridge from 205, maybe on 11, a newly surfaced green. So we know everything's firm, not just on the green, but the shoulders over there to the right, which is where Mr. Hogan said he's playing his shot. And if he ends up chipping over there, he's fine. Well, now you've got a nice, firm, sand-based shoulder that hasn't had a lot of water in its history, and it's not getting any water the next 6 days. And on Sunday, you hit that thing, and it goes all the way to 12T, or darn near, up the hill. And now you've got this down, it's into the grain down in the low spot. But going up to 12T, it's down grain. So you've got a down grain, downhill chip to an in grain receiving area short of the green, and then it's downhill down grain on the green, and the bottom side of Rays Creek is on the other side of that pump house. And you're looking at all, if you're 5-10 yards up the hill to 12T, it is one of the hardest things you could ever imagine trying to do from about 45-50 yards. And somebody's going to hit that 205, and they're going to hit the right edge of the green, which is where their caddy tells them, and it's going to float 1 yard further right than they want, and it's going to carry them towards 12. And they're going to be so mad because they hit it exactly where they were looking. And they're going to look at their caddy and go, why can't we aim right center of the green? Now, you would never say that if you aim right edge and you pull it a bit and you're perfect. You go, whoo, got away with it. But as soon as that thing caroms towards 12,
We've all been.
you're chirping at everybody on your team about, why are we playing so scared? Well, yeah, it's a great question, but it's what Augusta asked you to do. So somebody's going to get that break, or they're going to hit one on 13. And instead of it kind of, digging into the slope and coming up short, it's going to take that flat first hop, and it's going to trickle into the tributary of Rays Creek in front of 13 green. Somebody's going to hit, that hybrid that they want, but coming off the downslope above your feet and then the slope into the third shot landing area, it just takes a little bit too low of a skip. And you're going to hear the announcer say, what a bad kick, and the guy's going to be out in the fairway asking his caddy, how did it go that far? Well, because it didn't have that first hop up in the air that we all expect. And the contours just did something funky there. And you're going to get that. And this is the kind of week, because it's so firm everywhere. And they'll keep the fairway soft into Thursday, but then they'll let them firm up too. And because they grow and mow back into the grain. So getting a little run out on Sunday is okay, because it actually runs in places you don't want. And as you know, Scotty, and the caddies that are listening, the firmer a golf course gets, the narrower and the tighter the landing strips become, because then the runouts, giving you 17 yards of run out instead of 7. Well, that extra 10 yards now puts me under a pine limb at Augusta instead of the left edge of the fairway on 1. And so you'll hear the guys, as soon as they hit their tee shot and they pull it a little left on 1, they're saying, sit, sit, sit. because they know that it's going to hit pretty hot. It's going to skip into that second cut, maybe the pine straw, and you never know what you're going to get with a backswing or a follow through with all those little pines in there because they have planted a lot of new trees. Some of them are mature new plants, some of them
Ideally on
are
one.
smaller pines, but
Yeah.
there's been some new planting out there, and somebody's going to be up against one of those trunks on Sunday, and they're going to wish that that fairway was a little softer and they could play that draw around that magnolia front left of one.
Ideally, if you go left on one, you want it to go all the way through, right?
Correct. You want to go all the way to nine fairway, and I have hit that shot myself. I have played from nine fairway and as a lefty, kind of aiming at 19, just smothering a draw into that green, and it's a way easier shot than if it comes up in those trees because there is a rather large, rather wide. I mean, it's not very tall, so you really don't notice it on TV. But if you're trying to play a low shot into that green, there is about a 25, 30-yard wide magnolia. And if anybody's hit through a magnolia tree, it's like a brick wall because the limbs are fat and the leaves are thick and fat. And the ball doesn't go through a magnolia. It hits and comes down to the ground. And now you're hitting on the roots of a magnolia, probably short-sighted with a giant bunker in your face. It is awful. So everybody that plays there knows that I do not want to try to thread it through these trees. And that's why you see all the misses out to the front right corner on one. It's to miss that giant wide magnolia that patrons sometimes don't even see because they're walking up the right of one, and on nine you're looking down the fairway. But there's a big old magnolia there that every player in caddy knows they don't want any part of.
This is amazing. This is amazing insight for all of our listeners. Hey, listening to Drew talk about Augusta, I mean, I could listen to you break down every hole. I mean,
Well,
you should do a
it's
PowerPoint and sell it.
again, it's just I've been walking around the place since I was a young boy, and been fortunate to caddy in the tournament. And then I kind of did it backwards. Most guys are local caddies there, and they get in the tournament that way. And I actually caddied in the tournament as a pro caddy, coming in working for an amateur, but I was the professional caddy. And then I went later and got a job at the course. So I've seen it a lot of different ways and experienced it a lot of different ways. And I've been fortunate enough to play it myself. So it's just such a cool spot. And if you love
Yeah.
golf, there is no better place.
Andrew, you're being humble. Let's just remind the listeners of who you caddied for in the tournament and who you got to Butler Cabin.
Yeah, the guy right here signed this flag, Mr. DeChambeau. And again, nobody is more surprised than I am every year that comes and goes that he doesn't get the Butler Cabin again, this time as the champion. We
Came pretty
went as
close
the
last year.
low, yeah, came real close. And again, nobody expects him to win there more than I do because I know what he's capable of. But I also know his weak spot is chipping. And some of that's just his club configuration. Having a lob wedge and a sand wedge, 7-iron length, just makes it hard to hit some of those shots where you just want a little bit shorter tool in your hands, where you can maybe create that speed by throwing the club underneath. I call it the Sahith Thagala, stick the handle in your left pocket, where you just kind of hit that nipper underneath, get that one hop stop from like a 7-yard short side position. It's hard to do that with a 7-iron length lob wedge or sand wedge.
Sure.
And that's why you'll see him play the ground game much more. But that also can bring in, if he doesn't hit that just the perfect weight, it could either not get to the green. And we've seen that a lot, him trying to putt
Yeah.
from just off the edge, and he just leaves it one ball roll short of getting to the green, which had it done that, it probably has a chance to go in, but it's certainly a no stress four, par or whatever he's going for. But if he hits the ounce too hard, then it's 20 feet away. And now you're just trying to two putt for a bogey.
Yeah.
And again, his short game will be under the magnifying glass, as I talked about earlier. His length and his ability just to punish that golf course and the aerial game he has will probably keep him, unless he just has some unexpected hiccups,
Sure.
probably keep him in the top 10 for the next decade. He might be one of the safest bets going forward. If you're playing a futures game with Masters picks, Bryson could be your safest bet because I know how much he loves the place. I know the success he's had. I also know the failures he's had have only been one or two swings, and they've just been traumatic. And last year, hitting it into the pond on 11, second shot, back nine, really cost him a chance to win the Masters. It was one swing at a very critical point. I know he made a couple of mistakes. I think number three, he made a mistake. But
Yeah.
11, the second shot going in the water, and he tried to do that when I was on the bag for him. We were aiming right center of that green, and he pulled it. And thank goodness he pulled it, just a straight pull pull draw, and it landed to the back left hole location at 11. We landed about 8 feet underneath the hole straight up the hill, and we were able to make it for birdie. And he's kind of laughing when he hit it. And we were playing with Jordan, who was leading the tournament. This was on Friday. And he's kind of, oh, shucks in it. And I look at him and I said, hey, man, let's tighten it up here. That's the leader right there. Maybe we just tip our cap and let him think that we're brave enough to aim there and hit it there. And maybe he makes a mistake thinking we're going to play that aggressively the whole back nine. And he kind of tightened it up and goes, yeah, great point. And then we went down there and canned that putt. And then he hit the next shot to a foot on 12. That was a fun 30 minutes. I got to walk through Amen Corner with that guy.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Bodine will have plenty of work to do the next couple days.
Yes, he will. I mean, oh man, I was out there last year on Tuesday, and I'm coming across 9 fairway, and I see them coming off of either 9 or 18. I don't know. I wasn't following them, but I see the whole team just hammering a right at the pro shop, going to a shuttle, going to the range. And I'm kind of chuckling because I got to walk through the patron hospitality area next to the pro shop. And I tell the person that I was out there kind of giving a show and tell tour to somebody. And I told them, I said, I guarantee you when we come to the tournament practice facility, that team's going to be on the right edge of the range. They're all going to be there and they're all going to be getting screamed at because that's just how Tuesdays are. And sure enough, we come up there and they're out there and they got training aids everywhere, all over the ground. They got data reading systems. He's swinging, he's screaming, he's flinging clubs around. And man, it is a tough scene Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday with him. But that's what that kind of work ethic and that kind of drive. At the time when I was working for him, I didn't appreciate it. I didn't understand that his method and his work ethic and his insanity Monday through Wednesday is what allows him to put himself in the position, final group on Sunday, and have a chance on the back nine on Sunday. I didn't appreciate that when I was working for him. That was a big misunderstanding I had and a big reason why I didn't stay on the team. So if you're a young caddy and your guy's wearing you out on the practice range and you just wish we would figure it out soon, and maybe if coach would just do his job better and we didn't have to hit 8 million balls, maybe my life wouldn't be so hard. Trust me, that kind of drive that your player has to keep you out there in that hot sun, that's going to pay dividends. I didn't have the understanding I needed at the time. Fortunately, now I see that because I'm back out on the men's tour on Korn Ferry, working my way to these levels that these men are playing at that we're talking about this week. And listen, I completely understand now the drive and dedication it takes. A Bryson-like approach is what it's going to take for every one of these guys on the Korn Ferry to put themselves in this position in the next year or two. The guys that are going to be populating the 27, 28, 29 Masters, some of them are on the Korn Ferry right now pulling 12, 14-hour days. And that fruit is going to bear in the next, however many years. And if your caddy is patient, maybe he can enjoy some of that fruit too. And that's what Greg Bodine, he's taking a lot of bullets and a lot of arrows Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But he also gets to walk step for step with Rory McIlroy on a Sunday afternoon at Augusta. And so that makes it worth it. And Greg's a great caddy, did a great job for Tony Finau, got Tony Finau in the hunt at Augusta and was in the final group with Tiger Woods and Francesco Molinari 19 when Tiger ended up winning. So Greg's been there and done that. And now he's trying to repeat the tee time on Sunday with a slightly different result this year than what they got last year in a tie for fifth.
Amen.
So, but yeah, we got some new surfaces on 11, new surfaces on 14. Weather's going to be great. It's going to be an awesome week. Scotty, I really wish you lived closer because I'd take you out there tomorrow and we'd have an awesome day. And I would introduce you to a peach ice cream sandwich and an Augusta National barbecue sandwich. I know everybody goes crazy about the egg salad and the pimento cheese. Really, the Augusta National barbecue sandwich is one of the best barbecue sandwiches you'll eat all year. And the scenery while you're eating it's pretty good.
It's on the list. One day I'll make it there.
I mean, I can hand you a pretty awesome barbecue sandwich and you don't even have to take your eyes off of Amen Corner. You just reach over your shoulder and go, thank you, Caddy, Drew. And you eat your barbecue sandwich and Amen Corner's right there in front of you. And you know what, Amen Corner, to me, if you're a patron and you're listening to this and you're getting ready to go down there, go first thing in the morning, especially on the game days on Thursday through Sunday, go first thing in the morning. Because the best time to see Amen Corner is when nobody's playing it. And it's just such a beautiful place. And when that eastern sun is coming down 11 fairway, and it's kind of starting, you see the sunlight bouncing off Ray's Creek. It's just, it's a spiritual experience. It really is. And anybody that loves golf would want to see it without any human ruining the view, if you know what I mean. It's just a cool
Yeah.
spot. And yeah, it's man-made, but boy, God had a lot to do with it, and you can feel his presence down in there. And it's really neat to see it first thing in the morning when nobody's taking a shot, nobody's screaming, nobody's yelling at their caddy for misjudging the wind. That's the time to see it. And one day, Scotty, I can't wait to plant you in a chair right there and just give you 30 minutes of nobody talking to you and you just soaking that in.
Sounds like a plan. I'm in. Count me in.
Good. All right. We've gone. We both okay. There's a question that gets asked this time of year every year, and it is: do you reopen the Masters app, or do you have to re-download the Masters app? What type of person are you? Is it on your phone year round, or do we re-download annually with the updates that are
Redownload.
provided? Okay.
Redownload. Redownload.
I'm a re-download guy just because I want my phone to be work as good as I can. As a caddy, I'm checking weather 30 minutes before my tee time. I'm going through my weather app, hoping it's operating as efficiently as possible, giving me exactly what I need, hour by hour, wind charts, all that stuff. So I don't want a bunch of stuff crowding my phone that I don't need, including the Masters app.
Can we talk about Bobby McIntyre's caddy for a minute and check in the compass on the phone?
Okay, I did not see this, but go ahead, give me the story.
Well, I didn't. I wasn't watching because I was doing Easter, so I wouldn't watch a lot of the. But I guess they're coming down. Bob McIntyre was in the final group. Shout out to friend of the show, Marky Cairns and JJ that got the job done. Yes, 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 yes. But
On Easter, which also happened to be Mark's birthday. What a birthday present. I mean, I think every pro should try to win on their caddy's birthday. I think that's a cool
I mean,
birthday present, right?
some guys just can't lose. Shout out to
You know,
Mr. Boston himself.
what's your line, Scotty, regarding this? The rich?
Rich get richer.
There we go. Love it.
Rich get richer. But anyway, so Bob, they were trying to figure out their, and I don't know his name. I forget who's caddying for Bob McIntyre, but he pulled out his phone and looked at the compass feature of the phone to check the wind. And apparently that is allowed. You just can't
Sure is.
measure the wind, but you can use the compass on the phone to check the weather.
But miles per hour, things like that, you
No,
cannot have
you can't
anything
do
like
anything that
that.
like measures it, but you can
But if
use
you have the
the
compass on your phone and you're just seeing an arrow,
yeah.
perfectly legal to use that technology within a round. Is that something I will ever see you doing, Scotty?
No, I mean, one of the things, I'm not giving away any state secrets here, but if you look at my yardage books, I'm sorry I don't have one handy, but I actually make my own compasses in the book and draw them bigger. So I know kind of where the wind is on every tee shot. And then, I mean, I triple double check the wind app. And then 7 out of 10 times, it's kind of what the forecast is. And then if we're feeling something different, then we kind of go with that. Like, I don't know. I don't want to be out there. I just, to me, if you're doing that, you've already lost.
Certainly within the rules, I wear a compass around my neck because, as you know, you can get twisted and turned around, even on a sunny day, but an overcast day, you just don't know up from down after you turn around through the course of 18 holes and you forget where north and south is and tree line course where every house looks the same.
Yeah.
No way to know on an overcast day. So I always have my compass on my neck. I don't pull anything out on my phone just because I typically turn my phone off. I have all my notifications off. Ringers are always off. I'm just one of those guys anyway, because all my jobs, whether it's as a caddy on tour or as a TV employee on tour, my phone can't make noise, period,
Yeah.
ever. So, so just turning it off is just out of habit for me. But these younger guys that are a little bit more ingrained with technology, I have seen it. I'm glad they have the ability to do that. I don't know if I would ever, hey, do you mind if I look at that? It's almost like asking somebody to look through their rangefinder to see if they have slope,
Yeah.
because we are allowed to use rangefinders at different levels of the game, but you cannot have a slope reading. And really, the only way is if you look in somebody else's laser and you can say, hey, I see slope there, you're
Sure.
disqualified. So I think, pull it out. I think he can probably get whatever data he wants on there. I'm never going to ask him, hey, do you mind if I look at that feature on your phone and have him within the game
So
do that?
you
Yeah,
can,
right, right. But if there's anything on there that tells me miles per hour, then that's going to be violation of rule.
correct.
So for me, knowing how not advanced I am with technology, maybe my thumb slips and I enable something I've disabled, like miles per hour, and
Yeah,
suddenly somebody
I
looks
never,
at it and now my player gets disqualified. So I would
I
never
never
take
want
that
that.
chance.
I never want that to be on me. So my phone's just away. I mean, I remember because in COVID we didn't have scoreboards, so you could check scores via your
Mhm.
phone in 20. And honestly, I didn't really do it just because again, I didn't really want my phone out to kind of do or make noise or God forbid an app comes up or the phone ring or anything like that. Yeah, I'm always a no phone guy. Again, I take my prep really serious, and so I'm really, really dependent about what the wind's doing Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I do a little something a little different for the compass than most guys probably in the yardage book anyway. So
Well, and I'm so OCD, and I view the top two jobs as a caddy is pace of play and rules. So if I can keep you in position and keep you from being a rules headline, then that's a successful week. Anything else beyond that is, different grades of caddying and maybe different things your player requires. But the first two requirements is help your boss with pace of play, help things move along, and not break the rules. So if I'm doing something that's going to put me on the edge, I just eliminate that altogether from my prep or my practice because I don't need to push the edge on rules. I've made a career out of breaking rules, and now I'm, as a grown man and a father, I'm trying to be a little bit more of a rule follower. So you're never going to see me pull a phone out in the middle of a tournament like Mr. McIntyre's caddy did. But I've worked that course in San Antonio, and it was overcast on Sunday. So there are a lot of reasons for him to question exactly which direction he's pointing and exactly where the wind's coming from. And a guy like Robert McIntyre that hits the ball as far as he does. I mean, I know on 16, the par three with the bunker in the middle, most guys are hitting 4 iron. I think JJ hit a 4 iron to about 4 feet. And I know McIntyre, I think he might have even hit 5 iron over the green. He hits
wow,
the ball so far. So when I got a guy like that, it's going to hit the ball so far, so high in the air. I am dependent on knowing exactly what the wind's going to do to my shot shape and my ball flight. So yeah, if I'm him, maybe I'm pulling my phone out. If I get the Robert McIntyre job, maybe I adopt that philosophy as well. We'll see. That's yet to be seen. I think the guy's doing a pretty good job, and I think
that's
he's
what I'll
going to be
say.
employed for a while. All right, Masters app, best app in sports. Shout out to those guys in collaboration with
Thanks.
IBM. We're going to make our picks now in the Masters app. The first category they give you are past champions.
Mm-hmm.
So, Scotty, who's your past champ that you think
Joe,
is going to do better than the rest of the past champ?
I get to go first.
You get to go first. And this isn't a draft where once you pick somebody, somebody's off the board. We each
No,
have our
no, no,
teams.
no.
We could have
Agreed.
some crossover, although my team is going to beat Scotty's team for
Really?
$100. We'll just throw that out there. Maybe $100.
I thought we were doing a nice piece of meat.
Okay, we'll do a nice piece of red meat. I'll just get two steaks, two $50 steaks whenever we meet. That I'll just make it $100 tab for you.
I'm going who I believe is the best team in golf. I know you've said that a lot about what you
Hmm.
feel about Xander and Austin. I think Adam Hayes and John Rahm get the job done for the past
Hmm.
champions. I
Okay.
think I think it's time. He's been number two in the world according to Data Golf for a long time. I think it's time he has another big signature win, and I think it's this week.
Okay. My past champion is Scotty Scheffler. Pretty
Nice,
decent team there with our friend Ted
Ted.
Scott on
Absolutely.
the bag there. Ted going for win number five. Five Masters wins, which I believe would tie him for the most. And I'll have to do some research for our
Correct.
next
It would.
show.
It would.
Is it Iron Man Avery with five?
Yeah, and Pappy Stokes, right? Two with five.
Pappy Stokes, yeah, and maybe it's Pappy. Maybe Iron Man has four, with
I think Iron Man
Arnie,
has
and
four, and
Pappy has five,
I think
and
Pappy has
that's
five.
who
Yeah.
that's who Ted is
By the way,
trying to tie for most ever. There you go. Okay, so I'm going with Scotty Scheffler, defending champ, and there's going to be a lot said this week and a lot of ink devoted to his 3 week layoff
yep.
and how he didn't play great the last time he was out. I think this is a little bit of a statistical outlier that nobody's taken 3 weeks
Mhm.
off and won the Masters, but this is the birth of a child, 9 days old. And if you've ever been through that as a man with your wife, there's a lot going on in that third trimester.
Oh yeah.
Maybe some of the
Oh yeah.
frustrations we saw for the Florida swing from Scotty was just a manifestation of the end of a second pregnancy. And who knows what was going on within the family, within the pregnancy. Fortunately, everything's turned out okay with Remy now in Augusta with mom and dad and the oldest one. So, yeah, so we've got a happy family in Augusta, and maybe the stress that we saw earlier this spring has dissipated. And Scotty Scheffler also, he's won the last two even year Masters, 22, 24. So I'm a numerical kind of nut. So let's stick with even years taking Scotty. All right, let's go United States player.
You want to go?
I'm gonna take my former boss. I'm gonna take Mr. J.
Okay,
I
I
don't
like
know
it.
why I would go elsewhere. I just said on Kalshi, if you could take a 10-year future on anybody, I think Bryson's probably the guy I'm picking right now. He's going to be a pretty
Well,
steady pick. I do not think he's going to win. I think the course is too firm. I think his short game, it's just too much to ask for his short game. And it's one of those, he is a very streaky putter. He can make everything for a couple of days, and then the next day, nothing goes in, and he's so befuddled by the 14th green. And that's just kind of how his game is. But he's
and if
going
you
to have
look at
so
his
many
wins, big
opportunities.
wins, Wingfoot, Pinehurst, he putted exceptionally well at both places.
Well, and also the courses were just so hard that nobody could, he got off to good starts at both, and really nobody could come catch him once he got out to a pretty good lead, especially at Wingfoot. All right.
Okay,
Your
what you want to
United
say?
States pick.
I'm going on a limb here. I'm going to say Scotty Scheffler.
There we go. Okay, so we got a little overlap there. Scotty Scheffler, and your reasoning for picking the number
I
one
think a
player in
lot.
the world
I think a
is?
lot what you said. I think just had a well. First of all, I don't know if you're going to play Augusta National in the Masters conditions if you take any caddy other than Ted Scott. Number two, I do think probably a lot going on. The family can breathe now, healthy birth, wife's healthy. He gets back to Augusta where there's so many good vibes and good, thoughts. And so, finally, I think he can breathe a little bit with everything outside of golf. And so, we know that Scotty is motivated by family and God, and golf's probably third on that list. And so I think now that he's got all of those things correct, he can just have a fun golf tournament. And so I'm taking Scotty Scheffler as my USA pick.
Okay, we've got international players next on the list. Why don't you lead us off in this category?
Guy that I think is playing exceptionally good golf now, and he's Swedish, so I'm always going to take the Swede. I'm taking Ludvig Oberg.
Well, my international player is Joe Scoverin's player, Ludwig Oberg.
How about that?
We're taking the same international player, and I think we're both going to look pretty smart at the end of the week. So, yeah. Joey, runner up with Ricky Fowler, runner up with Ludwig, I believe, or was Jack on the bag then? Was Joe on
No,
the
no, no.
bag for
It's
the
Joe.
second?
Yeah, it
Joe?
was Joe.
Okay.
Yeah,
So Joe's got two runner ups, so only one more spot. And but that's a tough mountain to climb, but I think that team can do it.
I agree.
Okay, tournament first timer.
You want to go?
You go.
I'm taking Chris Gotterup, someone with the big that can really, really hit it well. I love the fact that he went out and played with Justin today, and what I heard in the press
Hmm.
conference, he went and played a couple weeks ago. He took good caddy, good mate of mine, Brady Stockton down there, who's done an exceptional job caddying for him, and I think they're going to surprise some people. I mean, his length alone will keep him in the tournament. So yeah, Chris Gotterup.
So, um, no rookie has won the Masters since 1979. Ozzie Zeller, the last one to do it. And he's only the third person to do it if you count the entire tournament's history. Gene Sarazen did not play the first event in 1934, won in 1935, and of course Horton Smith won the inaugural Masters. I would say Fuzzy's the only true first-time participant playing against the field of other experienced players that's done it. So it's only been done one time. It was done with a local caddy on the bag. And Fuzzy was famous for saying he just pointed and I just did what he said. And he ended up winning in a playoff. So that's been now 47 years. The guy that I think can do that and accomplish that feat, he's already won twice this year, a guy named Chris Goddard.
Hey, look at us. We think
You know,
alike, huh?
I'm, I don't like it when we agree so much. It starts to get me a little worried about you when you're thinking the same way I am. I know I'm crazy. You're supposed to be the sane one on this show. I do not
Well,
like it when we agree. So
I
you
think
need to maybe you need to go to your local priest and get baptized or something and wash me off of you because we're thinking
hey,
exactly the same.
okay. Listen,
Okay.
I'm always if I'm
Wild
thinking Georgia guy, I'm in good hands.
That all right, wild card player. Anybody in the field, if we haven't already gone through a category and skipped them, this gives you a chance to kind of double back and go, hey, I really want that guy. You first. And I know we won't have a duplicate here because I'm duplicating on one of your previous players.
Okay, I think you're probably taking John Rahm.
Yes, I am. For the exact same reasons you are, because Adam
Yeah.
and John are an awesome team. And he's also won once with 3 runner-ups on Live. Say what you want about the field size of Live. Once you get around the hunt and the lead in any professional event, you are in good form.
So
John's
basically,
former champ.
it's gonna come down to Bryson versus this pick for me. Otherwise,
Pretty
it's gonna be
much. Pretty much.
well, it's interesting because I'm taking a guy that's been on Live, a guy that's won a jacket, Patrick
No,
Reed.
Patrick Reed. Well, you just saw the press schedule today and you said that's my team. Got her, Pat Reed. Let's just pick everybody. There's carting into the media center. If we do the show tomorrow, you're gonna have an entirely different team, aren't you?
Well, that's why we're picking today. So
Well,
I like that.
it's what we call recency bias, folks. In the media, that's what we call recency bias. Scotty is the living embodiment of that. But no, Pat Reed won twice, I think, all over the world. Had a couple of really good results outside of that. Former champ, loves this place, plays it great. Actually, was in the group in front of Bryson in 2016, Thursday, Friday.
Okay.
And they were on the 16th tee. We were in the 15th fairway. And we hit a 5-wood about that far off the back edge of the green. And as Patrick's walking to the 16th hole, I see him turn around. And I'm in the 15th fairway going, it's never good when the guy walking along the water's edge on 16 is giving himself a heads up for your golf ball that's in play.
And
Fortunately,
he knew it was you guys probably too.
he probably had a good idea it was us because Jordan's not hitting it and Paul Casey isn't hitting it that far. Yeah, and we're the only guys standing there at the top of the hill still posing, watching the ball bouncing almost in the water on 16. And again, fortunately the ball stayed up, but then we chipped the next one over the green in the pond. So yeah, Patrick Reed was almost hit by a Bryson DeChambeau golf shot in 2016 at Augusta
Well,
National,
it
but
looks like it's going to
man,
come down to those two individuals again for us.
It's been, I think every year that Liv's been in existence, 2 of their active players have finished in the top 8 of the Masters. So I'm going with Bryson and John Rahm, and you're going with former Liv player Patrick Reed and John Rahm. So our picks are lining up with historical precedent. I like that. It is a place where historical stats matter.
Yep.
And again, a guy
I'll tell you
like
what,
Chris Gotterup, we've both got him on our list
do we want to pick an
because
amateur?
yeah, that's an easy pick for this Georgia Bulldog, but you go ahead and pick yours.
I'm taking Ethan Fang.
Okay. I'm taking Mason Howell. Go Dogs.
All right. Well, I'll take the Cowboy.
Yeah, and I'm employed by an Oklahoma State Cowboy, but he's very aware of my affiliation, and so I don't think he'll be surprised by my
That's all
pick at
right.
all.
That's all right. They're not in the SEC.
Not yet. With the way things are going, I don't know. We could have a rivalry in Stillwater very soon if the conferences keep gelling together. Who knows? I might be in the same conference as your USC Trojans before long. Heaven
Maybe.
forbid.
I mean, listen.
All
We've
right,
already
so
we get to the Big
Scotty,
Ten.
you've got John Rahm, you've got Scotty Scheffler, you've got Ludwig, Chris Gotterup, and Patrick Reed. And I have Scotty, Bryson, Ludwig Gotterup, and John Rahm. So yeah, our teams are going to come down to the Bryson P. Reed battle. And I think I'll be getting a couple of bone-in fillets on you next
I
time we
love
meet, which I don't know when that's going to be because you've got your schedule and I've got mine, and they don't really collide too often. We might have to just meet at the Olympics or something. I don't know.
Sounds good for me.
I think I can do that.
You know
So
where they're going to be out here in LA. Just saying.
I sure do, and I'm going to do everything in my power to get my horse on the USA team. That's a pretty steep slope to climb, but I think he can do it.
One day at a time.
One day at a time, brother. Scotty, thanks for making some time for me out on the left coast. Enjoy your Masters week.
And you do the same.
I certainly will try. I've got my kids on spring break. Most everybody in Georgia takes spring break for Masters week for the obvious economic reasons. We are still in our house. So it's daddy daycare all week here while I try to get a little golf viewing in. I actually have an off week in my schedule and I get to take care of my kids all week. So, I mean, what a bonus, huh?
What could be better, right?
Yeah. I already had one door with a hole in it and some drywall with a soccer ball hole. So what could possibly go wrong this week
You've got
with
through Monday.
Dad in charge of the household?
It's only 6 more days.
Only 6 more days. We hope this whole place doesn't burn down by then. We'll see. If you guys are watching the Masters and you see some smoke in the eastern sky behind 13 green and 15 green, that's just my house going up in flames. Don't worry about it. We'll call the fire department. We'll get everybody out, and we do know how to stop, drop, and roll.
We'll get a new
And that's
studio.
that's a little inside joke for Mr. Daniel Summerhays if he happens to be watching. So, all right, thank you all. Thank you, Birdie Brands, Keith Thread Sauce. Thank you everybody from the Back Nine Brief for watching us. Give us a like, give us a listen, subscribe, share, comment. We will reach back out to you if we get comments from you. And you keep watching us, and we'll keep giving you the world of golf from my side of the back.
Thanks, Drew.